Weeds are everywhere, man. You need to be aware, man. They grow without a care, man. We've got more than our share, man. Seeds in my underwear, man, and I don't like weeds out there.
Farmers lose productivity growing weeds instead of valuable crops. Noxious weeds overrun rangelands. Thorny, poisonous plants spoil recreational areas. Aquatic plants choke up lake ecosystems and displace habitat for fish, with devastating results for recreational fishing.
Hi. When I'm not studying invasive plants, I'm teaching about them, and that makes me a huge weed nerd.
It's true that I do feel like Pamela Anderson's fifth husband on the wedding night. Like I know what I need to do, but I don't know how to make it interesting to you, right? It's...
You know, I think that the cross-section of people that we have here shows how invasive plants cut across all lines. You know, they cut across all parts of the province. They affect, you know, people at all levels, from the individual to communities to ministries that govern areas of the province. So I think that it just shows that it's not just a small problem that's affecting a select group of people, it's cutting across all the demographics.
Well, you have to like the outdoors a bit, and this is a great way to come out for a couple of hours and contribute something to the community.
By removing ivy in the park, we'll be able to sustain the forest, and the idea of this is to have a healthy, old-growth forest for generations to come.
They're having some success, but their work alone is not enough. There's been an exponential increase in damage by invasive plants, made worse by inconsistent management around the province. What's needed is coordination on a larger scale. Cooperation between stakeholders across the province to raise awareness and provide solutions. The IPC grew out of the Invasive Plant Strategy, developed by the Fraser Basin Council with input from a wide range of interests, including governments, First Nations, non-government organizations, industry, user groups, and utilities. The goal of the strategy is to build cooperation and coordination to protect BC's environment from invasive plants. The IPC's goal is to facilitate that strategy.
What we're doing is helping those local and regional weed committees to get the resources they need, whether that's funding or people or government support, the legislative tools, all of those kind of things. We're supporting them because they are the eyes and the ears, and most importantly, the hands on the ground. They're the people doing the work. The gardeners, the horticulture trade, the nursery trade, and all of those people in the business of selling plants and landscaping and gardening. It's a huge industry, and that is where actually a huge amount of our invasive plants are located.
We like to say right plant, right place, and that means appropriate planting of the plant so that it goes into its location where it has no chance of becoming invasive, spreading out of its contained area.
This impressive plant originally came from China to Europe as an ornamental. It made its way across that continent and was brought to BC. Since then, it has spread like the blackberry. On the North Shore, a dedicated team hunts down the giant hogweed.
Okay, so I've got this specially made tool because you want to be as far away from the plant as possible when you pull it down. To take the plant down, you need to have the blade at an angle. If you try and cut straight across, it doesn't work. And then I'm going to remove the seed heads and put them immediately into the bag. And this bag here will go into the landfill, not into the green waste, because we don't want the plant spreading.
Ladies and gentle frogmen, Can I have your attention, please? Welcome to the Vancouver Island invasive American bullfrog fight.
No, that's a snakehead.
Snakehead.
That's a northern snakehead.
Really?
Yeah.
Good evening. Call it a superweed. A new type of plant is invading BC, and it has experts worried. Knotweed grows inches in just days and can burst through your foundation.
Invasive plant teams consider knotweed plantzilla.
This plant can grow 15 feet deep. It can't be composted. The only way to get rid of it is to actually use herbicide.
Jen Krenz says Metro Vancouver is becoming a hub for invasives. English ivy, lawn-chewing chafer beetles, dreaded hobo spiders, and the voracious snakehead fish. Knotweed is just the latest.
Take a look at this video. The weed has the power to come right through concrete and asphalt. So could the weed run rampant and bust through the newly constructed bridge or highway?
I think that if it's actively managed and appropriately managed, that it will not be a concern. It's pretty easy to spot it when it shows up.
Mike McCardle was in the right place at the right time today to catch on tape the discovery of a potentially catastrophic invasion right outside the Delta Airport Hotel in Richmond.
Weeds are something you don't want, even if some other people think they want them. These folks have come from around Canada and around the world to talk about invasive plants, weeds, killer weeds. We talked to them, and then something happened.
What we're talking about today here in this venue is predominantly the urban invasive plant issues. And if you look to your left here, you'll see English ivy climbing up a tree. So English ivy will eventually kill that tree. Right out there.
That pretty English ivy in so many yards? The invasive plant people say this is #1 on the invading list.
So the ivy here is working its way up the tree, and eventually it'll kill that tree. So we're all inside talking about English ivy, doing all the theory, and the ivy's slowly growing.
They told us in less than 10 years the ivy will kill any tree. A little one like this will be strangled dead in half that time.
Generally speaking, you would like to rip that out?
I would, with my bare hands.
And you wouldn't like to?
I'd be helping them. I'd be passing them the knife. As soon as one got dull, I'd have another.
It takes an aggressive invasive plant guy to deal with an aggressive invasive plant, but pity there are such things as private property and laws and such.
Probably a permit to get a knife here in Richmond and all that sort of thing. And we probably might spend some time in jail.
Have you gone to the hotel and told them this?
That's his job.
All right. Have you gone to the hotel?
No, we haven't. No.
It's just down the hall.
You know, we could do that. We could go down there live and...
You could go down there right now.
Something is actually going to happen. They would have thought of this on their own, but sadly the hotel manager was in a meeting. But they did get to see the front office manager.
We're talking about issues, and right out in front of you for you is this plant that's not really in the right spot.
This is like writing a letter to your politician. This is doing something, even if it's just fighting English ivy, which is actually from North Africa.
Delegates from across the province are gathering in Richmond this week to discuss ways to prevent, detect, and manage invasive species that are impacting BC's natural environment and economy.
Invasive species are any species that's not native to British Columbia that has an undesirable impact or an economic threat, a health impact, etc. So not all non-native species are invasive, but a small proportion are, and those are the species that we really focus on. So examples would be giant hogweed or knotweed, snakehead fish. Those are things that you've been hearing about certainly over the last couple of years.
And now, like you said, these are species that aren't native to the ecosystem here. So how did they get here in the first place?
That's a good question. Most invasive species are unintentionally introduced by people. We tend to move around the province a lot. We can carry things with us. Oftentimes species are brought in, giant hogweed for example, brought in for gardening and not recognized at the time for how invasive it could be or some of the issues that it might have. So as I said, most are unintentional introductions, and we're working really closely with gardeners and industry, with individuals across the province to educate them about those species and help folks understand what actions they can take to help with the solution in the province.